'Tis the season to be podcasting. Stay inside with a warm beverage and a hot microphone. If you're interested, Spotify can help you out. They've got a platform that lets you make one, distribute it, and earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So you've already got the equipment necessary to start recording today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple, Google, and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are an excellent way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's completely free. I switched Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy over to Spotify for Podcasters, and I haven't regretted it. The analytics are fantastic, and the new tools for hosting and updating the feed are way more than I could do self-hosting. Now, it's your turn. Head to podcasters.spotify.com and read all about it. Then, let me know what you're podcasting all about. Welcome back to the Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy Trivia Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Rollins. As we wrap up International Women's Month, we wanted to give a shout out to women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM for short. Far too often their historic contributions aren't well known, and we'd like to remedy that. As always, we'll give you 3 rounds of 10 questions. Each round is harder than the last. If you need rules or a score sheet, visit dorkygeekynerdy.com/rules to grab one for free. And that covers the intro. Let's get to the trivia. The Dorky Round. Number 1. What famous primatologist had her love of animals inspired by a stuffed chimpanzee named Jubilee? Jane Goodall. She still has Jubilee in her London home. Number 2. Who was the first American woman in space? Sally Ride. Number 3. The programming language, Ada, is named after who? Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace, the first computer programmer. Number 4. What woman, known mostly as a movie star in the 1930s and 40s, also invented a remote-controlled communication system for the U.S. military? Hedy Lamarr. Her frequency hopping theory is critical to today's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Number 5. Who stepped in as field engineer and technical leader of the Brooklyn Bridge's construction when her husband became paralyzed? Emily Roebling. Number 6. Who was the first woman U.S. Surgeon General? Jocelyn Elders. She was also the first African American to hold the position. Number 7. Who was the first woman to cross the Atlantic solo in an airplane? Amelia Earhart. Number 8. In February 2020, Christina Koch set what record? Most days in space of any woman in a single mission. She did it on her first mission to space. Number 9. Who was the NASA human computer that recently passed away at the age of 101? Katherine Johnson. Number 10. What astronaut was the first black woman in space and had a guest appearance on Star Trek: The Next Generation? Mae Jemison. The Geeky Round. Number 1. What early mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher was killed in 415 CE? Hypatia. Number 2. Who is the only woman in history to win 2 Nobel Prizes? Marie Curie. She's also the first woman to win the Nobel Prize. Number 3. What computer scientist has both a Cray computer and a guided missile destroyer named after her? Admiral Grace Hopper. Number 4. Who was the first woman in space? Valentina Tereshkova. She was a Soviet cosmonaut that went into space in 1963. She is also the only woman to fly solo in space. Number 5. Rosalind Franklin's work led to the discovery of the molecular structure of what? DNA. Number 6. Although ignored by the Nobel Prize Committee, Jocelyn Bell Burnell is credited with first observing what astronomical phenomenon? Pulsars. Number 7. Who is credited with creating the term software engineering while developing the software for the onboard systems of the Apollo spacecraft? Margaret Hamilton. Number 8. Albert Einstein's first wife was a physicist and mathematician. What was her name? Mileva Maric. Number 9. What astronaut has logged the most days in space for any American? Peggy Whitson. She accrued 665 days in space, the most for any American and the most for any woman ever. For context, 665 days is roughly the equivalent of a round trip to Mars. Number 10. What primatologist was played by Sigourney Weaver in Gorillas in the Mist? Diane Fossey. The Nerdy Round. Number 1. Who wrote the book Silent Spring, which led to the banning of DDT? Marine biologist Rachel Carson. Number 2. Who was the first woman space shuttle commander? Eileen Collins. She commanded the Columbia in July 1999. Number 3. What Austrian-born physicist fled the Nazis to Sweden and has element 109 named after her? Lise Meitner. She and her team discovered nuclear fission. Number 4. What woman won a Nobel Prize for Medicine for the discovery of genetic transposition? Barbara McClintock. She's the only woman to win the prize unshared in that category. Number 5. What daughter of a Nobel Prize winner helped create France's first nuclear reactor? Irene Joliot Curie, Marie Curie's daughter. Number 6. One inventor was known as the Lady Edison during the 1920s and 30s. Beulah Henry. She invented a doll with movable arms, a vacuum ice cream freezer, and a typewriter that made copies without carbon paper. Number 7. What German mathematician wrote the paper Theory of Ideals in Ring Domains? Emmy Noether. Number 8. The French Academy of Sciences has an award for mathematics named after whom? Sophie Germain. Number 9. What animal scientist wrote about her own experiences with autism in Emergence, labeled autistic? Temple Grandin. Number 10. Before becoming Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher studied what science? Chemistry. Pencils down. How did you do? If you didn't do well, we've put up links to resources about women in STEM. These are fascinating histories that are well worth exploring. We'll be back next Wednesday with more trivia. Here's your clue. In what decade did Frankenstein conquer the world and the planet went to the apes? You can follow the show on Facebook and Twitter for more trivia fun. And say hi, but from 6 feet away, please. This has been the Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy Trivia Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Rollins. Thanks for listening.